The storms of life don't ask for permission. They arrive unannounced, tear through your comfort, and leave you standing in the wreckage, wondering how you'll ever rebuild. You're here because you know this. You're here because the usual advice, the platitudes, the just stay positive nonsense has failed you. You're searching for something real, something forged in the fires of true adversity. You're looking for building bulletproof resilience, stoic lessons for tough times, and that's precisely what you're about to receive. Forget flimsy shields, we're forging armor. Forget coping, we're training for conquest. This isn't about surviving tough times. It's about emerging from them stronger, harder, and more indomitable than you ever thought possible, using the timeless, battle-tested wisdom of Stoicism. Prepare to dismantle your weaknesses and reconstruct your mindset into a fortress. The first lesson, the bedrock upon which all Stoic resilience is built, is the dichotomy of control. This isn't a polite suggestion. It's an unyielding law of nature. There are things you can control, and there are things you cannot. Your energy, your focus, your very sanity in tough times hinges on your ability to brutally, honestly, and relentlessly distinguish between the two. Most of your suffering, your anxiety, your despair in the face of hardship stems from a futile attempt to control the uncontrollable. You cannot control the economy, the actions of others, a sudden illness, a natural disaster, or the past. You waste precious strength raging against these realities, bargaining with fate, or drowning in what-ifs. This is a fast track to burnout and bitterness. The brutal truth: the universe doesn't care about your preferences. Tough times will bring events that are unfair, unjust, and utterly outside your influence. To fight this is to fight gravity, pointless and exhausting. The Stoic path, the path to bulletproof resilience, demands that you reclaim your power by focusing it exclusively on what is within your domain. Your thoughts, your judgments, your decisions, your actions, your responses, your efforts, your will, your character. When the storm hits, you cannot stop the wind or the rain, but you can control how you secure your house, how you navigate the flood, how you help others, how you learn from the experience. Think about it: a job loss. You can't control the company's decision, but you can control updating your resume, networking, learning new skills, managing your finances prudently, and maintaining a disciplined job search. A painful breakup. You can't control your ex-partner's feelings or choices, but you can control how you process your grief, whether you seek support, how you invest in your own growth, and the standards you set for future relationships. When you internalize this, truly internalize it, a profound shift occurs. The external chaos loses its grip. You stop being a victim of circumstance and become an agent of your response. Actionable step: every time you feel overwhelmed by a tough situation, grab a piece of paper. Draw a line down the middle. On one side, list every aspect of the problem that is outside your control. Be ruthlessly honest. On the other side, list everything, no matter how small, that is within your control. Now, ceremonially, mentally, or literally, cross out everything on the uncontrollable side. Let it go. It's dead weight. Then pour every ounce of your energy and intellect into the controllable list. This isn't just a mental exercise. It's a declaration of where your power truly lies. This is the first forge in building bulletproof resilience. Stoic lessons for tough times. Next, we confront one of the most challenging yet transformative Stoic lessons for tough times. Amor Fati, love your fate. This isn't passive resignation. It's not gritting your teeth and enduring. It's an active, powerful embrace of whatever life throws your way, the good, the bad, and the utterly brutal, as if you chose it yourself. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor who faced plague, war, and personal loss, wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." He also said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Think about that. What stands in the way becomes the way. Amor Fati teaches you to see adversity not as a curse but as raw material. It's the grit that polishes the diamond. Tough times are not interruptions to your life. They are your life in that moment. To wish them away, to lament, "Why me?" is to resist reality itself, and that resistance is the source of profound suffering. The brutal truth is that life isn't obligated to be easy or fair. It will present you with situations that feel designed to break you. Amor Fati isn't about liking the pain. It's about loving your capacity to meet it, to integrate it, to extract strength and wisdom from it. It's about seeing every event, no matter how unwelcome, as a necessary part of your unique journey, an opportunity to practice virtue, courage, and resilience. Imagine facing a debilitating illness. The initial response is often anger, fear, denial. Amor Fati would guide you to say, "This is my path now. What can I learn from this? How can I face this with dignity and strength? How can this experience forge me into someone better?" It's about transforming "this shouldn't be happening" into "this is happening and I will use it." This mindset shift is monumental. It doesn't change the external facts of the tough time, but it revolutionizes your internal experience of it. It liberates you from the torment of wishing things were different and empowers you to engage with things as they are. Actionable step. When faced with a difficulty, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "How can I use this? What is this trying to teach me? How can I turn this obstacle into an opportunity for growth, for courage, for wisdom?" Reframe the narrative. If you lose your job, perhaps this is the catalyst to start that business you always dreamed of, or to retrain for a more fulfilling career. If a relationship ends, perhaps this is the space you needed to rediscover yourself and build stronger foundations for the future. This isn't about false positivity. It's about finding the utility, the lesson, the potential for triumph within the trial itself. Embrace your fate and you become unbreakable. This is a core tenet of building bulletproof resilience. Stoic lessons for tough times. The third Stoic lesson for fortifying your resilience is premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Modern culture often pushes a relentless, almost toxic positivity. We're told to visualize success, to only think good thoughts, to avoid negativity. Stoicism offers a radically different, and far more effective, approach to mental preparation for tough times. Premeditatio malorum is the practice of regularly and deliberately contemplating the things that could go wrong in your life. Not to wallow in anxiety, but to strip future misfortunes of their power to shock and paralyze you. Seneca, a man who faced exile and was eventually ordered to commit suicide, wrote extensively on this. He advised, "What is quite unlooked for is more crushing in its effect, and unexpectedness adds to the weight of a disaster. By considering potential setbacks, illness, financial loss, betrayal, failure, even death, you achieve several critical advantages. First, you desensitize yourself. The imagined scenario, while unpleasant, is less terrifying than the sudden, blindsiding reality. Second, you can mentally rehearse your response. How would you act? What resources would you draw upon? What virtues would you need to display? Third, it fosters gratitude for what you currently have. Contemplating the loss of your health makes you appreciate it more today. Thinking about poverty can make you more prudent with your current resources. The brutal truth is that hardship is inevitable. Pretending it won't happen to you is naive and leaves you vulnerable. Premeditatio malorum isn't about being a pessimist. It's about being a realist, a strategist. It's about building psychological calluses. When you've already walked through the fire in your mind, the actual flames are less daunting. You've already considered the worst-case scenarios and, crucially, you've considered how you would endure them, how you would find your strength. Consider its application in modern life. Before a major project, visualize potential obstacles, team members quitting, funding issues, technical failures. How would you address each? Before a difficult conversation, imagine the worst possible reactions. How would you maintain your composure and state your case effectively? This isn't about inviting disaster. It's about ensuring that if disaster strikes, you are not caught emotionally and mentally unprepared. You're not just hopping for the best. You're prepared for the worst. This significantly reduces fear and anxiety because the unknown is far more terrifying than the contemplated. Actionable step: dedicate a short period each day or week to this practice. Close your eyes and visualize a specific potential hardship relevant to your current life. Don't just glance at it, immerse yourself in it. Feel the discomfort. Then critically shift to how you would cope, what actions you would take, what Stoic principles, like the dichotomy of control, you would apply. Remind yourself of your inner resources. The goal isn't to become fearful, but to become familiar with adversity and confident in your ability to meet it. As Seneca said, "He robs present ills of their power who has perceived their coming beforehand." This proactive mental conditioning is essential for building bulletproof resilience, Stoic lessons for tough times. Our fourth pillar in constructing bulletproof resilience is the Stoic understanding of virtue as the sole good. In a world obsessed with external validation, wealth, status, pleasure, approval, Stoicism offers a radical reorientation. The only true good is virtue, and the only true evil is vice. Everything else, health, wealth, reputation, pain, pleasure, life, death, is indifferent. Not indifferent in the sense that you don't care about them, but indifferent in the sense that they have no bearing on your moral character or your capacity for eudaimonia or human flourishing. This is a game changer for navigating tough times. When external circumstances crumble, you lose your job, your health fails, people betray you. If your sense of self-worth and well-being is tied to those externals, you will crumble too. But if your foundation is virtue, wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance, then no external event can truly harm your core. Your house can burn down, but your character can remain intact, even be strengthened. You can face immense pain, but still choose to act with courage and integrity. The brutal truth is that you will lose things you value. You will experience pain. People will disappoint you. If these are the measures of your life, you are doomed to perpetual anxiety and eventual despair. But if the measure is how virtuously you respond to these events, then every challenge becomes an opportunity. Tough times are no longer merely sources of suffering. They become the proving ground for your character. As Epictetus, a former slave who became a revered Stoic philosopher, taught, it's not things that disturb us but our judgments about things. If you judge poverty as an absolute evil, you will suffer immensely if you become poor. If you judge it as an indifferent but an opportunity to practice resilience, resourcefulness, and humility, your experience is transformed. This isn't an excuse for passivity. Stoics strived for preferred indifference like health and prosperity, but they recognized that their ultimate well-being, their good, didn't depend on achieving them. It depended on striving for them virtuously and bearing their absence virtuously. When you understand this, you unlock a profound level of inner freedom. The storms can rage, but your inner citadel, built on virtue, remains untouched. You can face loss without losing yourself. You can endure hardship without surrendering your principles. Actionable step. In any challenging situation, shift your focus from "what can I get out of this?" or "how can I avoid pain?" to "how can I act virtuously here? What would courage demand? What would justice require? What would wisdom guide me to do? How can I show temperance? Make your primary goal the exercise of your best character. For example, if you're unfairly criticized at work, instead of lashing out vice of anger or crumbling lack of courage, aim to respond with calm assertiveness courage. Seek understanding wisdom and maintain professionalism temperance. Your resilience will skyrocket when your self-worth is anchored not in fleeting externals, but in the unshakable bedrock of your own virtuous conduct. This is a profound secret to building bulletproof resilience. Stoic lessons for tough times. The fifth Stoic lesson, a powerful reframe for adversity, is that the obstacle is the way. This concept, famously articulated by Marcus Aurelius, turns conventional thinking on its head. We tend to see obstacles, difficulties, setbacks, frustrations as impediments to our progress, as things to be avoided or overcome as quickly as possible so we can get back to the real path. The Stoics taught the opposite. The obstacle itself is the path. The challenges you face are not detours. They are the very terrain upon which you must build your resilience, practice your virtues, and forge your character. Think of a weightlifter. The resistance of the weights isn't an annoyance. It's the essential ingredient for muscle growth. Without the obstacle of the heavy barbell, there is no strength gained. Similarly, in life, your tough times are your barbells. They provide the resistance necessary to develop mental and emotional muscle. Trying to live a life devoid of obstacles is like trying to build physical strength without ever lifting anything heavy. It's impossible. The brutal truth is that you will encounter obstacles. That's guaranteed. Your choice is whether to see them as dead ends or as opportunities. When you adopt the mindset that the obstacle is the way, every problem becomes a chance to practice patience, creativity, perseverance, courage. A difficult colleague isn't just a source of frustration. They are an opportunity to practice your communication skills, your empathy, your ability to remain calm under pressure. A financial crisis isn't just a disaster. It's an opportunity to learn resourcefulness, discipline, and to reevaluate your priorities. Ryan Holiday, in his book of the same name, beautifully unpacks this. He shows how, throughout history, the most successful and resilient individuals didn't just tolerate obstacles, they used them as fuel. They found the advantage in disadvantage, the opportunity in adversity. This isn't about enjoying pain or seeking out trouble. It's about recognizing that when trouble finds you, as it inevitably will, it brings with it a hidden gift, the chance to become stronger, wiser, and more capable. Actionable step. The next time you hit a wall, a major setback, or a frustrating problem, consciously pause your initial reaction of anger or despair. Ask yourself, how is this obstacle also the way? What virtues can I practice here? What strength can I build by tackling this head-on? What hidden opportunity might this difficulty contain? For example, if a project you poured your heart into fails, the obstacle failure is the way to learn crucial lessons about what went wrong, to develop humility, and to build the tenacity to try again smarter. Reframe your problems as projects for character development. When you truly see obstacles not as blocking the path, but as being the path itself, your capacity for resilience becomes almost limitless. This is a cornerstone of building bulletproof resilience, Stoic lessons for tough times. Lesson number 6 for forging an unbreakable spirit is memento mori. Remember, you will die. This might sound morbid or depressing to the modern ear, conditioned to avoid thoughts of mortality. But for the Stoics, memento mori was a powerful tool for clarity, purpose, and resilience. Far from being a downer, it was a potent energizer, a call to live fully and virtuously in the present moment. The awareness of your own mortality and the impermanence of everything serves as a profound filter for your priorities. When you truly internalize that your time is finite, the trivialities that consume so much of your energy, petty grievances, social media squabbles, chasing fleeting pleasures, fear of what others think, lose their power. As Steve Jobs famously said in his Stanford commencement speech, remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Because almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. During tough times, memento mori is especially potent. It puts your current struggles into perspective. While your problems may feel all-consuming, remembering the ultimate endpoint can help you realize that many of them are, in the grand scheme, not worth the level of distress you're assigning them. It can also galvanize you to face your challenges with courage, because if your time is limited, why waste it cowering or complaining? Why not use the time you have, however difficult, to live with honor and purpose? The brutal truth is, you are going to die. Everyone you know is going to die. This isn't meant to scare you into inaction, but to liberate you into meaningful action. It strips away the non-essential. It forces you to ask, am I living a life aligned with my deepest values? Am I making the most of the time I have? Am I focusing on what truly matters? Often, in the throes of a crisis, we lose this perspective. Memento mori yanks it back into sharp focus. It reminds you that this too shall pass, including your own life, so make this moment, this challenge count. Actionable step. You don't need a human skull on your desk like some ancient philosophers, though some find it helpful. Instead, find a way to regularly, briefly, contemplate your mortality. Perhaps it's a daily reminder on your phone, a moment of reflection before bed, or visualizing your own funeral and considering what you would want said about how you lived, especially how you faced adversity. Ask yourself, if I knew I had only a limited time left, how would I approach this current tough time? Would I let it defeat me, or would I rise to meet it as a testament to how I choose to live? This practice isn't about dwelling on death. It's about using the awareness of death to live a more vibrant, focused, and resilient life. This sharpens your resolve when building bulletproof resilience, Stoic lessons for tough times. Our seventh Stoic lesson is about mastering your inner world, cultivating the inner citadel, emotional regulation. Epictetus famously stated, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them." This is the core of Stoic emotional psychology. Tough times are characterized by external events that are often chaotic, threatening, and painful. But the true source of our suffering, our lack of resilience, is not these events themselves, but our untamed emotional reactions to them. Our fear, our anger, our despair, our self-pity. The inner citadel is a metaphor for a fortified mind, a place of inner calm, reason, and strength that cannot be breached by external chaos. Building this citadel requires conscious effort and practice. It means learning to observe your initial emotional responses without immediately being swept away by them. It means creating a space between stimulus, the adverse event, and response, your action. And in that space, choosing a response guided by reason and virtue, rather than raw, unbridled emotion. The brutal truth is that your emotions, left unchecked, will betray you in tough times. Fear will paralyze you. Anger will lead to rash decisions. Despair will sap your will to act. Stoicism doesn't advocate for suppressing emotions or becoming unfeeling robots. It advocates for understanding them, scrutinizing the judgments that give rise to them, and ensuring they don't dictate your behavior in ways that are harmful or counterproductive. Can you feel anger at injustice? Yes. But you don't let that anger consume you and lead to destructive vengeance. Instead, you channel that energy into reasoned, just action. Think of your mind as a fortress. Negative thoughts, irrational fears, and overwhelming emotions are like an invading army. If your gates are unguarded, they will overrun you. The Stoic trains to be the vigilant gatekeeper, examining each thought and emotion that seeks entry. Is this thought true? Is this emotion helpful? Is it based on a sound judgment or a distorted perception? This internal discipline is crucial for resilience because it prevents you from being mentally and emotionally hijacked by adversity. You maintain your capacity for clear thought and purposeful action, even when the world around you is falling apart. Actionable step: practice the art of assent. When a strong negative emotion arises in response to a tough situation, don't immediately accept it or act on it. Pause. Name the emotion, e.g., "I am feeling intense anxiety." Then investigate the underlying judgment. What thought is fueling this anxiety? E.g., "I am thinking that if I fail this presentation, my career is over." Now, challenge that judgment using reason and Stoic principles. Is it truly catastrophic? Is it within my control? Refer back to dichotomy of control. What would be a more rational, constructive thought? E.g., if I perform poorly, It will be disappointing, but I can learn from it and it's not the end of my career. I will focus on preparing as best I can, which is in my control. This conscious process of examining and reevaluating your judgments about events, rather than being enslaved by your initial emotional reactions, is how you build and strengthen your inner citadel. This is fundamental to building bulletproof resilience, Stoic lessons for tough times. The eighth powerful lesson from Stoicism for weathering life's storms is the power of perception and assent. Building on the inner citadel, this principle dives deeper into how our minds construct our reality, especially during periods of intense pressure. Epictetus was crystal clear. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This isn't just a catchy phrase. It's a profound psychological insight. The external event, the job loss, the diagnosis, the betrayal, is neutral in itself. It is simply a fact. It is our interpretation, our judgment, our perception of that fact that gives it its emotional charge and determines whether it breaks us or fortifies us. The process is this: an event occurs. We then form an impression or a perception of that event. Then crucially, we give assent to that impression, we agree with it, we label it as good or bad, terrible or unbearable. It is this act of assent to a negative, often irrational judgment that causes our suffering. If you lose your job and your immediate judgment is, "This is a catastrophe, I'm a failure, my life is over," you have assented to a perception that will lead to despair and inaction. The Stoic learns to pause before giving assent, to scrutinize the initial impression. The brutal truth is that your unexamined perceptions are your worst enemies in tough times. They will paint the bleakest picture, whisper the most disempowering narratives, and convince you that you are helpless. Resilience is built by seizing control of this internal meaning-making process. You cannot always choose what happens to you, but you always choose how you frame it, how you interpret it, and what story you tell yourself about it. Consider two people facing the same difficult diagnosis. One assents to the perception, "This is a death sentence, there's no hope." Their experience will be one of terror and despair. The other, while acknowledging the seriousness, withholds assent from that catastrophic judgment. They might perceive it as, "This is a serious challenge. It will require all my strength and courage, and I will focus on what I can control to fight it and live meaningfully." Same external event, radically different internal realities, and, consequently, radically different levels of resilience and quality of life. Actionable step: practice cognitive distancing. When a negative thought or perception about a tough situation arises, instead of identifying with it, "I am a failure," rephrase it as an observation. "I am having the thought that I am a failure." This small linguistic shift creates mental space. It allows you to see the thought as a mental event rather than an absolute truth. Then actively challenge that thought. Ask, "Is this thought 100% true? What evidence supports it? What evidence contradicts it? What is a more balanced, rational, and constructive way to perceive this situation?" By refusing to automatically assent to your initial, often fear-driven perceptions, and by consciously choosing more empowering interpretations, you reclaim your mental sovereignty. This conscious control over perception is a superpower when building bulletproof resilience, Stoic lessons for tough times. Our ninth lesson, crucial for enduring prolonged hardship, is the Stoic understanding of impermanence. Everything changes, Everything passes. This is a fundamental law of the universe. Joyous moments are fleeting, but so too are moments of intense pain and difficulty. When you are in the depths of a tough time, it can feel all-encompassing, permanent, as if the darkness will never lift. Stoicism reminds you with a clear and steady voice that this too shall pass. This isn't a call for passive waiting, nor is it a dismissal of your current suffering. The pain is real, the struggle is real, but the permanence of that struggle is an illusion created by a mind overwhelmed. Remembering impermanence offers several benefits for resilience. Firstly, it provides hope. No matter how bleak things seem, they will not stay that way forever. Seasons change, storms pass, wounds heal. This knowledge can be a lifeline when you feel like you're drowning. Secondly, it encourages perspective. This current crisis, which feels like the defining event of your life, will one day be a memory, a chapter in a much larger story. Thirdly, it can spur you to action. If this tough time is temporary, then how can you best use this period? How can you ensure you emerge from it having learned, grown, and perhaps even having helped others? The brutal truth is that clinging to the idea that your suffering will last forever is a recipe for despair. It paralyzes you. The Stoic acceptance of impermanence, on the other hand, frees you. It allows you to endure present difficulties with greater fortitude because you know they are not a permanent sentence. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself of the transience of all things, empires, fame, life itself. This wasn't to induce sadness, but to cultivate a steadfastness that wasn't rocked by the inevitable ups and downs of fortune. Think of past challenges you've overcome. At the time, they may have seemed insurmountable, but they passed. You endured, you learned. You are here now. Apply that same understanding to your current difficulties. This specific configuration of problems, this particular intensity of pain will evolve. It will change. Understanding this doesn't make the pain disappear magically, but it changes your relationship to it. It allows you to bear it with more patience and less despair, knowing that it is not a fixed state. Actionable step. When you feel overwhelmed by the seeming permanence of a tough situation, consciously bring to mind the principle of impermanence. You can do this through a mantra. This too shall pass. Or, reflect on past adversities that once felt all-consuming but have since faded in intensity or resolved. Consider the cycles of nature. Day follows night. Winter gives way to spring. Use these reminders not to minimize your current pain, but to contextualize it within the larger flow of existence. This perspective can prevent you from being completely submerged by the present difficulty, allowing you to maintain a sliver of detachment and hope, which are vital for building bulletproof resilience. Stoic lessons for tough times. Finally, our 10th Stoic lesson for forging bulletproof resilience, especially crucial in our interconnected yet often alienating modern world, is the importance of duty, service, and connection, oikeiosis and sympatheia. The Stoics understood that humans are social creatures, meant to live and work together. Oikeiosis refers to the process of recognizing our connection and affinity to others, extending from our immediate family to all of humanity. Sympatheia is the understanding of the interconnectedness of all things in the cosmos, the idea that we are all parts of a larger whole. During personal tough times, it's easy to withdraw, to become consumed by your own problems, to feel isolated. Stoicism pushes back against this. It reminds you that even in your darkest hours, you have duties to fulfill to your family, your community, your principles. Focusing on these duties, on contributing to something larger than yourself, can be an incredibly powerful source of strength and purpose. It shifts your focus outward, away from endless internal rumination on your own suffering. The brutal truth is that self-pity and excessive self-focus are corrosive to resilience. They amplify pain and foster a sense of victimhood. By contrast, engaging in acts of service, however small, or simply fulfilling your responsibilities with diligence and integrity, can restore a sense of agency and worth. When you help someone else, even when you yourself are struggling, you tap into a profound source of human connection and reaffirm your own capacity to make a positive impact. This isn't about ignoring your own pain, but about not letting it be the only thing in your world. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor with immense responsibilities, constantly wrote about his duty to serve the common good, even amidst personal grief and the pressures of war and plague. He saw his role not as a burden, but as an opportunity to practice virtue and contribute to the well-being of the Roman people. This sense of purpose, larger than his personal comfort or suffering, was a key component of his legendary resilience. In tough times, asking, "What is my duty here? How can I be of service?" It can pull you out of a downward spiral. Actionable step. When you are facing a tough time, consciously look for opportunities to fulfill your duties and to be of service, even in small ways. This could be as simple as being a supportive listener for a friend who is also struggling, volunteering for a cause you believe in, or simply excelling in your work despite personal difficulties, knowing that your contribution matters. Focus on what you can give rather than solely on what you are losing or suffering. Make a list of your roles and responsibilities, parent, friend, employee, citizen, and identify one small action you can take in each role today that aligns with your values and contributes positively. This outward focus, this commitment to duty and connection, builds a resilience that is not just about personal toughness, but about finding strength in your interconnectedness with the world. This is a vital, often overlooked aspect of building bulletproof resilience. Stoic lessons for tough times. You've now been armed with 10 foundational Stoic lessons, 10 pillars upon which to construct not just resilience, but bulletproof resilience. This journey, building bulletproof resilience, Stoic lessons for tough times, is not a quick fix. It's a lifelong practice, a commitment to forging an unbreakable mind and spirit. We've explored the liberating power of the dichotomy of control, the transformative embrace of Amor Fati, the strategic foresight of premeditatio malorum, and the unwavering anchor of virtue as the sole good. We've learned to see the obstacle as the way, to use memento mori for profound clarity, to cultivate an impregnable inner citadel through emotional regulation, and to master the power of perception and assent. We've acknowledged the hope in impermanence and found strength in duty, service, and connection. These are not mere intellectual concepts. They are tools, weapons, armor, but they are useless if left on the shelf. The brutal truth is that knowledge without action is dead. The hardships of your life will not wait for you to feel ready. They will come. Your only choice is how you will meet them. Will you be a victim, tossed about by the storms, or will you be a stoic warrior, grounded, centered and capable of not just enduring but thriving amidst the chaos. The call to action is clear and urgent. Implement these lessons. Start today. Pick one principle that resonated most deeply and begin consciously applying it to your current challenges. Journal about it. Practice the actionable steps. Observe your responses. Fail, learn, and try again. This is how true, lasting resilience is built, not through passive consumption of information, but through active, daily, relentless application. The path of the Stoic is not an easy one, but it is a path to profound strength, inner peace, and an unshakable core. You have the blueprint. You have the lessons forged in the crucibles of history's toughest times. Now the responsibility is yours. Rise to meet your challenges. Build your inner fortress stone by Stoic stone. Destroy your weakness, not by denying it, but by transmuting it through disciplined thought and virtuous action. Become the resilient, unstoppable individual you were always meant to be. The tough times will come, but they will find you ready. They will find you bulletproof. Go forward and build.